mine still framed there?
Yeah.
We won't move around a lot. It's not a Sebastian Maniscalco podcast where I have to. Why could Ben Gleib be the President of the United States? This is the Doug Stanhope podcast, swapcast, with the
Last Week on Earth podcast.
all together. You are my presidential candidate.
Yes, sir.
Going right with it. You're in the blind, as they say in poker.
Mm-hmm.
If, however many years ago, you said, I don't even say his name, that guy could be president,
Yeah.
you'd go, no way. So why can't Ben Gleib be president?
It's a very strong question. I say his name, I don't like to capitalize the letters of his name when I write it.
I have
almost
that in my
never do.
notes.
Oh, you have that in your notes? Nice. Yeah, but he certainly became president on a record of lying about his business acumen, and then lying about everything else, and then being a horrible human being, and literally selling our entire country up the river, or down the river, I'm not sure which the phrase is. Obviously, we now know stranger things have happened. And Trump's TV show was about firing people, yet he got elected president. My TV show is about making you use your brain better and not being an idiot. So which would you rather have in the White House? It's called
You
idiot
know
test.
I ran for president.
I do, I'm very aware. That's been the most challenging things. I've been thinking about this for over a year, but I rejected the call from this many times because of the intensity and because of what it'll do to your life and everything. And I've built a career that I like and a life that is fun and chill and happy and pretty good overall. And I'm risking all of that to, throw my hat into the ring. But for the last 3-4 weeks, since this has been moving full force and building a team and getting volunteers together, it is an intense focus just on rules and on your flyers have to be printed by union shops and every detail is like very elaborate.
Yeah, I'm a drunk, so I go, I can't deal with all this, like, figuring that
It's
shit
a
out.
lot of detail, man.
Honestly, 2007, when I was gonna run, and I think it lasted like 3 months, where I go, I really became the most miserable person. I realized how little I know about anything in politics. Like, I don't know the House of Representatives from the fucking Ways and Means Committee, or I don't know any of that shit. I had like 4 great points.
If you only know 4 things, maybe it's better to be a postcard than a president, but I know more than 4 things. Yeah.
So if you had one platform that you were going to go after, what's your number one?
My number one reason for running is to stop Donald Trump. So I don't know if that's a policy position, but I just feel like every progressive candidate, every Democrat running is trying to espouse the same ideals, basically, within a margin of error. It's very similar things, and they all want to stop Trump, but Trump is an existential crisis. He's an existential risk to our nation, to the values of our existence as our experiment of American democracy, and our freedoms are at risk because of this fucking orange madman, crybaby Trump, treasonous traitor Donald Trump. And so I want to stop him, and I think a comedian is uniquely suited to do that because he's the best trash talker heckler in the world.
Ukraine?
The president of the Ukraine, just elected a few weeks ago.
Comedian.
Zero prior political experience. I have some.
I don't try to pronounce his name correctly.
Zelensky.
No, John Nahr became the mayor of Reykjavik. He's a comedian. Ran a joke when Iceland went tits up in the 2008, the whole economic crash. They were at the center. They were like a big, banking thing. They crashed. So they ran a joke campaign, had an entire joke, the best party. That was their party.
Right.
The guy from the Sugar Cubes was one of the he got elected mayor of Reykjavik, which is basically the president of Iceland.
That's a good point. No one else is living in the outskirts around there.
Tucson, it's the population of Tucson, Arizona.
Yes.
Is Reykjavik.
Maybe I need to have less positions. There's actually an advice a friend of mine gave me. It was like, it's almost a scientific fact that the candidate with the least positions on their website wins. but I felt like I had a hurdle to climb with people taking a comedian seriously, so I put 13 issues just with the launch. And only me, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Bernie Sanders have any issues listed on their website. Everybody else is just, here's my story, I grew up in a small box, I grew up wearing hats, whatever they said about themselves, and that's why you're supposed to support them. Because they had great hats.
But if you have one issue that you're passionate about,
yeah.
what would be the one issue if you were going to go after? Because I have a suggestion.
I have a few main issues. One is restoring our democracy. I think it's just essential, not just because of Trump's risks, because of foreign interference in our elections, because of gerrymandering, literally carving black people out of districts or carving them into other districts so they don't win elections. Having a shift to digital ballots that make our whole elections up for grabs and up for question if they're even authentic or not. So going back to only paper ballots.
Have you considered being a black candidate?
I have considered it. And I looked into it, and I'm not going to fall into an Elizabeth Warren trap. So I'm not going to even run the DNA test.
There's no reason for an I in Gleib.
It's a strong
There
point.
is no I in Gleib.
Oh, there you go. Also, you can't spell America without me. Are you aware of that?
No.
We're going to try to put the try back in country, Doug. It's already there at the end of the word, but like...
Privatized prisons. I know you have a...
not privatize them. You would think we should privatize them more?
No, I know that's one of your platforms.
Yes, it is. Well, so the last issue on restoring our democracy is also banning the Electoral College, abolishing it, because one person should have one vote. More people live near cities, then they should have more votes based on the number of people in those cities. I don't think it should be weighted against where populations move. Yes, we need to, I think, ban private prisons. We need to not be trying to make money off of putting people in jail for selling weed in their neighborhood. First of all, who hasn't appreciated the guy selling weed in their neighborhood? So you're gonna not put the guy in, you're gonna buy his weed and then put him in jail? That's rude.
Oh, you're gonna get me off on a tangent, but
I don't mind that. Slip you a little
You don't
something.
look at your weed dealer the same way if he's behind a counter with a name tag.
It's a strong point. You don't look at him the same way. You still look at him because he's a human being.
Well, you don't have to talk to him anymore.
That's true. And how come
You don't have to smoke weed with him.
Wouldn't it have been nice if there was one weed dealer who you go into his apartment and it was nice and it was like kept well? It wasn't like a couch with every stain and like residues on it and ashes everywhere.
I'll be honest with you, I never had to buy drugs because I've been a comedian for 30 years and they just hand them to you, and most of the time you have to just say, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm traveling.
Yeah, they don't even give it to you sometimes
I can't do
wrapped
mushrooms.
up in anything. It's just like a loose nug of weed and all of a sudden you're smelling like weed in your pockets.
Do you smoke weed?
I do.
The prison, we have the biggest prison population in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We have, what, or was it 2 million people in jail or prison?
And
in this country?
disproportionately for minorities.
They can't vote, but if they have 2 million, a population of 2 million in prison, that means they have to have 4, 5, 8 family members that can vote. And if you went after prison, just like focused on prison reform and releasing nonviolent offenders, well, you have that many people that can vote. Prisoners can't vote.
Bernie Sanders trying to change that, but yes, it's true. Prisoners currently can't vote. 8
But
times
the
2 million,
people-
you got now 16 million votes. Lose by a landslide.
Bam!
But you make a number. You
You
register.
make a huge number.
It's true.
And you put that issue on the map.
Well, but here's another part of prison reform that I think is a unique idea that no one has talked about, and people think it's ridiculous, and I think it's just common sense. You want to end corporate crime? Combine white-collar prisons with blue-collar prisons. Which is worse? A weed dealer who's now sentenced to life in prison because it's his 3rd time getting arrested for that, or a corporate white-collar criminal who stole millions, ruined millions of lives. People kill themselves over things like that. People's lives get shattered. They have to move. They're homeless. That's a worse crime. Yet they get to go to country club prisons? Why possibly? Would it easier because they're white? Because they're wearing a shirt with buttons?
I'm gonna be so against you right now.
Why?
In that all the brutal prison that you're talking about, white collar prison, no one should be sent to any kind of prison like we have. prison is cruel and unusual punishment.
Sure.
It just creates worse prisoners.
Sure.
And
But shouldn't we equalize them first? At least send everybody to
no,
the same
you should
prison.
make them rehabilitative.
Yes, agreed. But how fast would we fix the prison system if corporate criminals were going to that same prison? There would be money into it immediately. There would be reform. They would be rehabilitative. They would be much better systems to get people back on their feet and not put them in a zone where they get beaten up and or raped on the daily. That's not a good setup.
Yeah, sending anyone to that's not.
I'm just saying,
Constructive.
if weed dealers are being sent there, shouldn't people who are ruining lives be sent there? And then that's where the money is. Those people have the money. If you follow the money,
I'm with you in theory, but
so then
not
you'll
in
have that
reality.
fixed. Why
No,
not?
What?
You'd rather keep them going till unlocked?
No, I'm saying
corporate
no one should
country
be
clubs?
raped in prison.
I'll agree with you on that.
So-
It's a platform the whole nation can get behind. But it happens. And it happens right now only to blue-collar criminals. That's on the lighter, that's going to fall. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. My plan is just equity when it comes to punishment for crimes. Just because someone's not using their hands to commit a crime does not make it less bad. It makes it worse. Oftentimes. I got many more. We got to get people access to health care who can't afford it.
No, we're going. I get notes down there.
Okay, good. We get a comedian's voice, a true outsider's voice on that stage. It's early. We got a year and a half plus till the election. Why should every candidate be career politicians or multimillionaires? If you
I am
read that stupid, then
completely
give me
behind
$1.
you. It ruined my life. I've never been happy since I did that 3-month stint where
That
I
ruined
took
your life.
myself seriously. Not really.
Why
My
not?
life
I
is
feel like
still
dropping
pretty
out, it
good.
probably got really good again by comparison.
As soon as I quit, I was like, I'm so happy. I was such a, like, I used to be a fun doing mushrooms guy, like, and then I took myself seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I go, oh, this would be a funny joke, and then when
When it
I
got
get
real,
talked into,
libertarians backed you into a corner.
I was gonna just do like a Pat
Rand
Paulson
Paul was
goofy-
curling his hair at you, flicking
oh
his
my
little
God.
suspender hairs
Rand
at you.
Paul, I love Rand Paul, but that hair, he could
can't be
never get
president.
electable.
No, he's
It's
raggedy
Hair
and
Club
all.
for men.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can
His
swim
hair
with it on.
constantly wet. There's a whole lake inside his noggin. It's absurd. You can't elect a Raggedy Andy doll as your leader. It doesn't make any sense.
But then who's the president?
Strong point. Maybe we're
Exactly.
wrong about that theory.
There's such a dichotomy with us as comedians.
Yeah,
Where I go, yeah, just talking about his hair is really fucking hackneyed.
sure it is.
But people vote for hackneyed. They vote for that guy
Yeah,
because he's an asshole on TV.
yeah.
And they
He's
would
got
vote
great
for
catchphrases.
Kardashian or a fucking...
The comedian who would probably
Jersey
make it is
Shore.
Larry the Cable Guy. It's probably the one.
Absolutely.
Get her done in the primaries. That's all we have to say every time he campaigns.
And it would work.
It would work very well.
So I will definitely support a comedian for president.
I mean, that's the big. I'm happy to hear you say that because that's the biggest premise of the whole thing is that, look, none of people say, what kind of experience do you have to be president? None of the candidates running, this is a newsflash, have been president before. A solid zero of them. One of our greatest presidents, George Washington, had never had public office before. There wasn't public office because he was like created it all, but still it's a strong point. You don't need experience in knowing how to be a person who surrounds himself with the brightest minds, listens to people's ideas, and formulates policies that will help people. What matters is finally having somebody in office who's not a career politician, who's not entrenched. Comics are the realest people of the maybe not fully real people.
Last bastion of freedom of speech,
Exactly
which is
right.
now being threatened even in our business.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like Trump created this term of fake news that has perpetrated itself around the globe. We live in what's called a post-truth era now. I don't know how we even accepted that without a fight. But the whole society's like, the news are like, no, in a post-truth era. Dan Rather's like, we live in a post-truth era. We just gave up on truth without even a battle on that shit. And so if we're living in an era where truth is at least being eroded very quickly, and you can just say fake news on facts, and people think it's bullshit,
Well, there's
comedians
also,
are the last place you go for the truth. That's why people go to Jon Stewart for the news, and Samantha Bee, and John Oliver, and all these people. So why shouldn't a comedian be the source of truth for your government as well? Why only senators who've been in government and gotten zero done.
All right, well, let's bring
Or
up
close to
Al
zero.
Franken, who everyone in the comedy community and beyond supported,
Yeah.
and then he just capitulated.
It's a little bit like Bill Maher says that Democrats eat their own a little bit too much. Let the people decide if what Al Franken did was worthy of being kicked out of office or not, but all the senators just pushed him out very quickly.
No,
He
don't let the fucking
capitulated.
people decide. The people elected Donald Trump. The fuck. I
Well, the
said
people
his
that
name.
elected him.
I
You
try
said
to
his
never
name.
say his name. If we could go 1 week, the entire country, without saying that name,
He would melt.
he would implode.
Yeah.
His ego would just fall apart.
Although if you say it 2 more times while looking in the mirror, he will haunt your dreams. I don't know if you're aware of that. But yeah, look, we live in a very, very interesting era, and I think there's very important strides being made for women in the world. And sometimes these things overcorrect a little bit, and Al Franken paid a price for it. I think what he did is not the most egregious of all things, but he also didn't behave well for a senator in some of those things.
Yeah,
You're a senator, you shouldn't be grabbing people's butts during photos. That's it.
you get a lot of people behind you.
No, I love it. This other thing that my campaign has
I'm
decided
giving you
to
a
do.
chance to drop some names.
Oh, a lot of people behind me.
Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Kevin
Paul
Smith.
Provenza.
My podcast on Kevin Smith's network. Paul Provenza, dear friend, the comedy Yoda. Dear man, who apologized to me for not putting me in the Satirista's book later. I'm like, it's too late now. I'm not in it. And you fucked up pretty bad.
Yeah, the Aristocrats and the
Aristocrats.
Green Room, which I loved that show so much.
I made a cameo in the Green Room. You were a full guest.
Yeah, I was a
cameo.
full guest. The best one was Patrice with Bob Saget, and Patrice, the scariest comic I've ever known, and I didn't really know him.
He's
But
so
I was
funny.
like one of those guys that you're afraid because you know he could eviscerate, he could find your weak spot and tear you to shreds.
Yeah.
Just by
backstage.
looking at your face, your countenance, one turn of an emotion in your face, he could read it and then tear you apart. And
This
he
is
tried
true.
to do that to Bob Saget on the Green
Oh
Room.
shit! I
And
don't remember this.
it's like,
Did he-
say
did-
something off the top of your head. Why don't you just, what do you just do jokes? And then Bob Saget responded in kind and said some shit off the top of his head, and it was fucking beautiful.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's the one that Roseanne and Sandra Bernhardt,
That's a good lineup.
I think those were the other two. Where it was just a beautiful show, The Green Room.
My favorite moment from it was the other great, amazing panel was, well, they had a bunch of them, but it was the one with Marin and Shanling and Apatow and Bo Burnham, and Provenza's like, Bo's this amazing young comedian who writes these songs that are like, make you question society and all these amazing, you play one, he goes to his piano and plays a beautiful song about teen angst and growing up not knowing who you are, and he finishes it and the whole crowd is raptured by it, and Provenza turns to the panel and goes, huh? Pretty amazing. And Marin goes, that's cute.
Marin's a guy I'm afraid of too.
Yeah,
But
I've had my
in a
encounters with
personal
Marin.
way where I think Marin hates me the same way I hate Marin, because I think Marin thinks I hate him.
I feel like a lot of people think Marin hate him, and it's probably true 80% of the time. I bet he probably hates 80% of his podcast guests. I'm bitter he's never asked me on his podcast, but you know, I have bigger fights to pick. But I'm a little upset about it. One time, Marin, so I'm at the Vancouver Comedy Festival, and this is like 10 years ago, and I was showcasing for Eddie Brill, who was the booker of Letterman at the time, and a great guy, and a comic, a very funny comic. And I did 2 back-to-back crystal clean TV sets, crush it, 9.5 minutes, crushed it. He comes backstage, Brill, and I'm sure I booked Letterman. And he says to me, Ben, that was amazing, so wonderful. Let me tell you why you're still a year plus out from doing Letterman. Marin misses that sentence. Walks backstage right after and just hears Brill going, it was so great, this joke and this point and this point. Marin, in maybe his very angry days, got in between me and Eddie, who were already only 2 feet apart from each other, in my face, nose to nose, like it was the beginning of a prize fight. And he goes, look at you with your cute little jokes. Your fucking candy jokes about Reese's peanut butter cups. You think you're so fucking great. I think you're so cute. It's disgusting to me.
Oh.
And he bounces. And I was like, the fuck was I just didn't get Letterman, bud. Thanks for adding insult to injury on what just became the worst moment of my life. I'm about to get beaten by Mark Maron and didn't book a late night
It's
spot.
a weird thing where you know you're internally a prick, and then you see a mirror reflection in Mark Maron, and you go, he must hate me the way I hate other people.
Uh-huh.
So now I hate him. Like, unless someone goes out of their way to tell me they like me, I assume everyone hates me.
Makes sense.
But Mark Maron, you assume even harder.
So you've not done his podcast?
Yeah, I've done it
Oh,
twice.
twice.
I did it once,
So he
and then the
definitely hates
second
me then.
time, I know he was doing it because he had to, and then he shuffled me off because he had someone else coming in.
He didn't have to do it. Once again, I have not done the podcast.
Well, that's-
I mean, you're a legend.
He
but
probably
still,
thought
fuck.
he had to do it because he didn't want me to hate him the way he thinks I hate him.
He didn't want you going on your podcast or a swapcast one day and saying how much of a dick he is and how much.
I like Mark Maron,
I
except
like him as a man, except when he
from a
wants to beat me
distance.
down and not book me on his podcast.
Yeah, now you have a better story. I have a David Cross story that's in my last book.
Okay.
Where I hated David
Love
Cross
David
for
Cross.
years. For one, when I was a kid comic, it was a small slight, but it made me feel that shitty.
What was it?
It's a long story,
story.
but a small story where he goes, hey, you can't sit here. I'm with people. That's the basic. But I was in a day where I thought all comics sat at the same back of the room table because I was from the road.
Right.
And I sat down, and then they made me feel like just a fucking. I'm with people, and I've probably done that a million times since, where fucking some open micer came and interrupted a conversation. I'm like, I'm trying to fucking talk here, like now that I'm the guy.
Right.
I didn't want to talk to him. He was in a seat you could smoke in. It's a long story.
Every
It's in the
time,
book.
every time.
It's in my book, This Is Not Fame, which a good friend of mine said, oh yeah, your first book was a book. Yeah, the second one, that book's more of a podcast. So
Every
I
time
will
you do,
never forget that.
every time you do that now to a young comic, do you call David Cross crying and apologizing for the way you mischaracterized him?
No, but he did follow me on Twitter, so I guess, he doesn't
He's
really
redeeming
hate me as
himself.
much as I.
As you hated him one day.
Yeah, that's from the 90s.
So that's holding a grudge a long time.
Oh, come on. Tell me one thing. Oh, I had some notes.
Oh yeah.
I was going to do some presidential things.
Oh, good.
Instead of boxers or briefs, cut or uncut, but you're Jewish, so
True that. The answer is that. I asked Hillary Clinton one time at the end of her first presidential campaign, one-on-one, I go up to her in this place where I was in the public was supposed to be, and I went up to her and I said, it was the last throes of her campaign when she was trying to beat Obama, but Obama was clearly surging, and I said to her, we've learned so much about you in the course of this campaign. One question that helped your husband's campaign we don't know about you yet. Behind the pantsuit, boxers or briefs. And she just like goes wide-eyed and keeps walking. I'm like, boxers or briefs? And she just gives me an awkward thumbs up and keeps walking. I turned to the camera and I was like, my guess is another pantsuit. I think it's pantsuits all the way down with her. That's what I believe.
I would have changed, and I don't have an answer for this. I should have I would change the national anthem to anything but the national anthem because it's a fucking
Anything.
horrible song.
Interesting.
Did you ever get that stuck in your head?
Yeah, I've got to say, I love the national anthem. When I was I'm like patriotic. It's maybe almost embarrassing. When I was a kid in third grade, there was a record player, and every morning the teacher would let the next student choose a song to play. And whenever it would come to my turn, I'd always choose the national anthem. I think it's a beautiful ballad. I like to belt it out. I sometimes sing it during a sound check.
Your first lady is actually nodding that you're not lying.
Yeah.
It's a fucking horrible
I
song.
play it on the kazoo sometimes. I'm one of the great kazoo players. I don't know if you know that. And I sometimes play it on the kazoo, much to her dismay and my dog's dismay as he tries to fall
So I'm
asleep.
just gonna actually write that down because Bill Clinton with the saxophone.
Yeah, mine's the kazoo.
Do you have a kazoo?
I usually carry it with me, but I started.
Damn it.
For the last 3 weeks, I don't know if it's presidential. I should keep carrying it because But the kazoo's a much more accessible instrument, much more everyman instrument than a saxophone. Think about that.
Red, white, and blue. I would change the flag
You would?
to a there's
Get a
the
patriotic
worst
feeling about
colors
that flag.
ever.
Not to wear, it's not great colors, but
They're fucking awful
on a
colors.
flag, they evoke
I
patriotism.
would go with a lime green and an orange, but not like a safety cone orange, and maybe a turquoise.
Well, that's similar. Lime green is something that I talk about in my accent times. It's about not our national colors, but how polarized our politics have become. They literally just try to keep us apart.
This orange, right there.
Like a burnt orange.
This.
I like
this,
that orange.
This orange.
Orange is my favorite color. But,
Mine too.
really? Cheers.
Yeah. Fucking go Netherlands. World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck America.
Well, it's a strong statement, I feel like. I'm running for president, Doug, and you're fully aware of this, and so...
Well, if you can change it to a place where I no longer say fuck America, I'm all for you.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I'll take it as a personal challenge.
How about...
But let me just say, they polarize our politics so much that they've even color-coded us. That's why I don't like labels so much. Red and blue. They literally color... That's the exact colors of Bloods and Crips. Literally, that's maybe some part of why we're so at each other's throats. Maybe when I say I'm safe, we would have a more chill political discourse. We rebranded the parties peach and lime green. Think about it. People are a lot more relaxed. Are you more relaxed when you see a tropical Skittles pack or a traditional Skittles pack? Tropical. Reminds you of vacations.
Democrat and Republican, which one's the donkey and which one's the elephant?
Donkey is Democrat. Elephant
Right.
is Republican.
I don't know that.
You didn't know that?
No. It's just trying to find if you are as dumb as me.
Trying to gotcha me on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer your gotcha questions,
How
Doug.
much is a gallon of milk?
Gallon? I don't know. $4? Something like that.
I don't know. I'm lactose
I
intolerant.
shouldn't say that.
These are the deflections.
Smart, very
I'm
smart.
lactose intolerant.
That's the one thing people try and tell me is you don't have to answer every question, but I'm a comedian. I like every question's a personal challenge to me, so I like to answer them as directly as I can.
That was my only gotcha question. I just came up with it.
You're hard hitting. You're like part of the wall. You're like Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
I smoked pot with David Cross once. It was an exciting moment for me. And then Bob Odenkirk, who I love more than anyone, but I love Bob Odenkirk. And Mr. Show is one of my favorite shows of all time. Had him on my podcast years ago. And I had a show years before that, National Lampoon, that was this kind of stream of consciousness, tangentially connected show, a little bit inspired by Mr. Show. And so I couldn't wait to talk to Odenkirk about it. He's in my old apartment, my shitty little apartment I used to live in, and for a very long time. And I said to him, so you guys must have been stoned out of your minds writing that show. It was so weird and out of the box. And he goes, are you kidding me? The connections we had to make, the detail of writing a script every week, we were stone cold sober. Maybe Cross smoked occasionally after a taping, after we had Zanku chicken at midnight. I was like, my mind was shattered. Like, you guys were not high for that? And he's like, no, we weren't high. And he looks down and he goes, is this a nug of weed on your table? I just had loose weed on the table. It was a come to Jesus moment for me. I felt very stupid.
There was a moment in the 90s it seemed like everybody sobered up.
Yeah.
Like everyone was all
I was
fucked up
astounded.
and drinking, and then everyone went sober. Or maybe that was just my social circle where people grew up and I didn't. But just all of a sudden everyone's sober.
That when all of a sudden you're drinking by yourself and you're like, where is everybody?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, good for you. You're doing that. Do it your way.
Yeah, it works for me.
I like
I
that.
ain't running for president.
No, you're not.
That's just dumb.
That was 3 dark months in your life.
I will support you
Thank you,
for
sir.
president.
Thank you very much.
I'll call Rovia in the middle of the night. Here's another idea I had.
I
I
like
do that
it.
to the Impractical Jokers.
Do you, Sal? I love Sal.
Yeah, Sal and Quinn.
You give them ideas for their
day
pets.
drink and go, here's an idea. What you gonna do? You go to a shooting range.
Where does this prank go?
But all the targets are like a mother shielding her child from a school shooting or something.
Yeah.
That's a target.
Did they use that bit?
No, they
I don't feel like they
no.
would have.
They just sit
That's a
there on
smart choice.
speakerphone and they just placate us. Okay, yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah, do you think maybe, I mean, I hate to, like, normally I would let a joke lie, but during the presidential campaign, I have to say, I feel like I believe in the Second Amendment strongly. I shoot guns and I enjoy it sometimes. Also, kids should not fear getting shot at school. School is shitty enough already, hard enough to focus. with that on top of your head, we just need common sense regulation. We can meet in the middle on this. You can have a gun, but you also shouldn't get a gun faster than you can get toilet paper on Amazon Prime. That should be obvious.
See, this is where we're going to part ways
All right,
on
bring
politics.
Bring it.
Is, no, there shouldn't be schools.
No schools.
No.
That's an interesting platform.
Well, not no schools.
I'm gonna take us under advisement.
You fucking
Keep calling me
pay
2 in the
for
morning and
school.
tell me this?
Pay for school. If you're going to have a kid,
Yeah.
you should be able to afford everything about that kid. I should not have to pay for your fucking kid's school. That, my tax money, I don't have a kid.
First of all, I'm astounded you don't have a kid by this point in your life. You probably do.
I have one abortion and one vasectomy in that order.
Oh, you got the
Oh,
vasectomy.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought I was sterile by now with all the drugs and
You
alcohol.
would thought, but no.
I've never impregnated a girl, but when I did and she had to have an abortion, I did the right thing and got a vasectomy. But yeah, if you're gonna have a fucking kid, you should be able to pay for the fucking
Well, that's
thing.
something that you're saying because you got the vasectomy. But let's say you didn't get the vasectomy, like most men do, because ouch, that sounds painful.
And then I wouldn't want the general
But
public
if,
to
but
have
if,
to pay for my
but
stupid
let's,
kid
but there's
that I
kids
can't
out
raise.
there that people have by accident or have, and then they lose a job and they can't afford to take care of that kid. That kid should just go out in the streets wandering without any education because their parents fucked up. Yeah, I don't know if you thought this one through.
That's where GoFundMe comes in. Or adoption for all these people that are getting fucking fertility drugs. There's fucking living people out there. We're already taxing all of our, what do you call it, the oil and shit, the thing, what's the word for...
You're having a stroke right now, you right?
No, the depleted
The resources?
resources, like natural
Yeah, we're
resources.
depleting our natural resources. We're drilling on our own lands. We're
Yeah.
jackhammering into mountaintops
And that's
for oil.
because, listen, we
That's
have
because
this. We have this every time we get drunk at the Funhouse
Yeah.
on the Doug Stanhope podcast. Afterwards, we talk about all the problems in society, and almost every time the answer is overpopulation. Well,
Yeah.
what if we do this and this, and then we?
A lot of people.
Yeah, but then people are going to keep fucking and keep bringing more people to the party, where the party's already over full and depleting natural resources.
Yeah, but how are you gonna stop that? You gonna go China one-child policy?
Incentive-based eugenics.
Oh my god. Sure, that's one way to go about it, Doug. Listen, I think
Eugenics, this is already out on a special, but it's a fucking brilliant idea.
incentive-based.
Incentive-based eugenics, where
What are the
hey,
incentives?
like if you tie your tubes, you'll get a lifetime supply of Sunny D.
First of all, nobody wants Sunny D. Secondly,
No, the people you don't want procreating want Sunny D.
they want it
It's white
more than the
trash.
purple stuff too,
Yeah.
which is another
Oh,
good point.
you mean if I cut off my balls, I can go crossbow
Sunny D for
hunting
life.
with Ted Nugent? Yes, you can. But you don't really have to cut off your balls.
Well, that's nice.
It's just a small incision in the vas deferens. No, I want to cut off my whole balls. That's the
That way they can hang them behind their truck.
Yep.
I like that idea. I don't even know that it's eugenics if it's just voluntary and you just get paid for it. So then I can maybe get behind it. I don't mind the idea of paying people to not have kids. That's not a bad idea. But I do think that if they do have kids, you should not let them wander the streets as vagrants.
No,
You should be able to educate them so that we don't have a country of a bunch of people walking around aimlessly, banging their heads in the wall and turning into a bunch of angry, tiny-handed Donald Trumps.
well, if
I've said it twice. We said it twice now. One more and he appears.
how much? Like I have a 9th grade education, and I had to wait that long to quit because everything I learned from public school, I knew by 3rd grade. Basic reading, writing, math, and then the rest is bullshit. They don't teach you anything, and they're teaching you how to sit still
Yeah.
at a desk,
Yep.
training you to be a drone in a fucking corporation
Yeah.
in a cubicle, and there's none of that you need to know.
Totally. That's
History.
another one of my plans. I agree. It doesn't make any sense. So much. You're exactly right. So much of what our school systems teach is just mindless facts. You learn dates instead of the
Yeah.
concept behind the thing. Why did a war happen? No one knows. but it happened in 1812. Who gives a shit about the number of the year?
Exactly, it's memorization.
Memorization, just so people can develop the skills that help them do mindless tasks. And so what I would do, part of my plan, is to modernize schools and our curriculums big time. There's this amazing video that the XQ Institute shows that tries to help get people involved in their local school boards. And it shows all the technology that society has evolved over the last 50 years, 100 years. And then classrooms, it's still a dusty chalkboard and old little wooden desks and chalk from like milk bottle delivery people times. It's insane.
Fucking ridiculous.
So we're going to put high-speed internet in classrooms.
Taxation paying for babysitting because they know, oh, mom and dad have to fucking work a day job, so we'll make these kids sit there for 8 hours so mom and dad can work, and the kids don't know anything other than bullying and bullshit. And
that's why you also have to
fucking prison.
You got to teach life skills, right? So you have to teach people. There's never been no one ever has a financial class. Learn how to save, learn how to budget your money.
Taxes.
Never taxes should be classes.
The IRS could not pass a fucking course in IRS tax code.
Right.
I think even that's a Trump thing. It's a weird thing about Trump where if he does something good, just because he's a dildo, everyone is like against him doing good.
Yeah, no, but when good things happen, I give him credit for it. It's few and far between, but I'm not someone that, I think he gets criticized too much for every little tiny thing. Like, oh, Trump walked ahead of the Queen of England during a procession. Let that one go. The guy is an idiot.
Stupid.
We know it.
But no, that's
not news.
You shouldn't have to do that.
No, you shouldn't have to do it, but also it shouldn't be blanket coverage in the news for 2 days when he does.
But that's cable news is ruined for me because all they do is whatever oh, now we're going to have 8 eggheads come out here and talk about
yell at each other.
What he tweeted. What's your opinion on this, Brian? Well, you know my opinion because of the network we're on. We all have the same opinion, but we have 8 of us talking about it, and it's They've
ruined news, and they've ruined, in a lot of ways, the country. The 24-hour news networks really fucked up everything. And if I am elected president, one of the things I want to do is make all of the 24-hour news networks, they're not allowed to call themselves news anymore. They can call themselves entertainment networks, infotainment, maybe at best. They're not news.
I was going to get back to this, was the fact that that's free market in play, where the news is, when you're talking about fake news,
Trump's right about that fact. To some degree, it's not fake. It's just they generate drama every day, like it's a reality show. It's clickbait. Exactly right.
They're working.
There's not a level 12 emergency outrage every single day for years. That's just complete bullshit, and you're making everybody live in this state of constant
Breaking
chaos.
news.
Breaking news.
How old are you?
Still nothing. 40.
40. Do you remember breaking news when it was
a big thing.
News?
Yeah.
They would actually interrupt.
Yeah. Now every story, they just mean a story came in. You should change that label to just story now again. It's a less concise title.
It's 24-hour news.
It's ridiculous.
Because it's the same news story for 24 hours till they find a new angle.
And they're just getting stories from the internet also and then just riffing on it. It's basically 24-hour news networks are podcasts with less smart people. So I'm not a fan of that. But quickly for a second back to schools, the other things you have to do is you have to teach life skills, finances, taxes. You also have to, I would have a national curriculum where you can have a class that's taught either by YouTube or you can do it in class or at home, but just a couple of key classes that everybody has to watch just so you know they're getting some basic important information, and then let the teachers also supplement it with other important information. Also, context is the most important thing. Why does every student, I don't know if you grew up hating school, you did. I hated it more than anything.
2 teachers I remember that actually, one of
them
said one day,
names, right?
Gertrude Healy was a French teacher in 6th and 7th grade, failed me both times, but said one day you'll write for Saturday Night Live.
Oh shit.
And
Did you ever write for Saturday Night Live?
No. But I was portrayed on Saturday Night Live.
That's nice. What was the other teacher?
I can't remember his name. He was a science teacher, but he was funny.
Mine was Mr. Moscow was hilarious, and Mr. Jacobson was hilarious. And Mrs. Shelby was great. She was this African-American woman who worked in the library. She was a librarian. She'd give us these like civics lessons, and then people would ask questions. She had great burns back. She was like the student would be like, oh, do we have to turn the the check card in, the book card back in with the book, and we turn it back in. She goes, unless you want to sign your name with your underwear, turn that in. Like, it was like, what? It was amazing.
But we're comics, so we responded
that, yeah.
to teachers that
she was
were
fired
funny
very quick.
or appreciated us being funny.
For
Oh yeah,
sure.
of course
No,
she's
she
fired. I have a teacher friend that
She was not fired. She was great. But she was respected, but they didn't know what she was saying in that dark little basement library either. If they did, maybe she would have been. But so for schools, the biggest thing is context, right? Every school is framed punitively, so every student sees it, like you said, like a jail. You have to get up, get there at 8, which is far too early for any student to get, any young kid to get to, and then you just are made to study. Day 1, they're like, here's your syllabus, here's the 8 books you gotta read, we're gonna test you 8 times a day. Instead, take a week at the beginning of each semester, explain why this will matter in your life, why you should care, and let the students opt into it. Let them say, oh, I will fail in my life if I don't learn this. Oh, this skill will help me become a blank or a blank or a blank. All right, I'm down to learn then, because it'll make me smarter.
One of the most important books I read that really changed what I was doing from just titty bar, finger fuck jokes in my act to where I was actually thinking about is You Are Being Lied To. And it's this compendium of essays by different authors about different, it's thisinfo.com. I don't know if that still exists, but they put it out there. And one of the things was the background of how the school system started, how we have it. It started in Austria, where they were just really training people how to be fucking drones.
Right, happy soldiers.
But
for dubious causes.
what stuck with me was they said, why is it if a teacher is hired to teach children and the child doesn't learn, the child fails rather than the teacher?
That's brilliant. I love
Fucking
that.
gorgeous.
That's so brilliant. Yeah, why is that?
Yeah.
10
An
years.
8-year-old is a failure and you get money
Because
and a
this
summer off?
stern woman at the desk in the front clearly is making no attempt to relate to these people as human beings, and then makes the kid hate school. Like, one of the craziest moments of my life happened about a year after I graduated college, and I all of a sudden started like having good speed internet. I was diving deep on YouTube and articles and reading shit and wanting to learn everything, and I realized I discovered my love of learning right after 17 years of school finished. The second elementary school and high school and college finished, then I was like, fuck, I would have loved to learn shit back then, but I was just closed off to it because it seemed like punishment. So you fix that, and all of a sudden you change the future because people will be raised actually learning things, actually caring about their future, not thinking like, fuck this, mom, I don't want to go to school again.
And then what's going to happen is people are going to continue to overfuck and overpopulate, and then the classroom is going to be too big for the teacher to try to give context or whatever, and they're just going to go, fuck it, you failed, and it all boils down to overpopulation.
Yeah, but if
You're not going to have kids, are you?
we're on the fence. We're talking about being on the fence.
It'll,
Also, we're not
it'll
married
destroy
yet,
your
so-
body, everything will just
Not true. You can bounce
collapse.
right back. Have you seen
You
how the
won't be able
Kardashians
to
bounce
sign
back?
your tits after a show because they'll be like scrotum stretch marked. It'll be gross.
Well, first of all, I wanted to side
That's a
business.
great thing. That's a
What?
shaming women out of having kids by telling them how gross they'll look.
That's a great thing you're saying. This is you can't be my running mate, but I think
Well-
you've got interesting ideas.
Well, I'm saying if you affect the ego and you go, oh, you'd be gross and unfuckable if you had kids, it'd stop people from having kids and overpopulation.
Are you going to do that both ways, or are you going to also say to the dudes, your shriveled little penis will never be able to get an erection again, or have an orgasm
No,
and create a
that's
baby?
not true. No.
People's bodies
Chi-
bounce back pretty good from childbirth.
Not men's bounce back
Men's do
fine,
fine,
because
even better, even easier.
Yeah, they
Time.
yeah,
And I have to go to the gym.
but they do have to work, extra jobs to pay for that kid,
Exactly right.
or
Or just don't, and then let him wander around like a little zombie dummy with a styrofoam box on his head, bouncing into the walls with a beer cooler as a father. And that's one way to do it. You know, you can look at it both
so.
ways.
I guess you're pro-choice.
I'm pro-choice.
There you go.
I'm pro-choice, but I think if a pregnancy goes to term and then a baby's born, you should take care of that baby. It's a confusing conundrum that Carlin pointed out many times. about how Republicans love to protect the baby in the womb. And then the second he's born, fuck you until he's 18 and can go fight in wars that are launched for no purpose.
And then probably death penalty.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not everybody, but a
I
lot
don't know
of
if
people.
Carlin said it, but that's the they want to kill
Right.
save the fetus, but kill the
adult.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that we have to take care of the children that are born. That's my controversial opinion. But I also think that because reasons of overpopulation, of lack of education, of mistakes that happen, of terrible situations that cause unwanted pregnancies, you should give a woman the ability to control her own body because it's her own body, obviously. Like, until we're mandating vasectomies on dudes, we shouldn't be mandating what women do with their bodies.
I'm all for it, and
That's
I'm
nice
all
of
for
you.
killing fetuses.
That's part of your platform also.
No, it's part of my new special. I'll be taping that next week.
Encouraging
I'm not
people.
it's my closer.
You don't, okay, no, we can't
give it
we can't
away
tease
right
that,
now.
But we kind of get the premise a little bit, at least, a little bit of the essence of what's coming.
It starts with.
All
Never
right.
mind.
No, we're not going to say anything about it.
Stay
tuned.
Trying to think of any other platforms.
You didn't mention why you're against common sense gun regulation. You said I lost you there, but then
Oh,
we tangent.
I always said that guns exist.
Sure.
They're there. You're not going to get rid of guns.
Agreed.
I don't know.
I don't want to get rid
I
of
know
guns either.
personally, I have a Napoleon complex, bullied, angry, and I'm a drunk, so I know personal responsibility. I should not have a gun because if in a drunken state, oh, what, you fucking threatening me? No, he's just, he's looking at the TV above your head. He hated the result of the NHL playoff game. I thought he's giving me a dirty look. Fuck you.
Right.
So yeah, I have personal responsibility.
Exactly.
I know myself, so don't own a gun.
I like that. So I think, yeah, people can have guns if they can get them, but it shouldn't be easier than getting a driver's license. You have to go through a pretty rigorous screening process for that. That's just to take your kids to daycare. If you get a gun that can murder somebody in moments, you should just be able to go through, check your mental health, your criminal history, make sure that all sales are registered, private sales are registered also, just like gun sales. Just like car sales have to be registered. So we know where the guns are. We know that we try to control as best we can people having them that can handle them. And then
That's
moving forward.
There's no testing for that, and you have to know that. You're
What do
a
you mean?
rational human being. Yeah,
people are gonna
you can
slip through.
screen some people
Right.
out, but there's
It'll be
other
better.
people they can. Ted Bundy was a fucking. I don't know if he used a gun, but I'm saying
Did he eat people, or was that Dahmer? Ted Bundy was a serial killer. The people are still going to be able to be serial killers, whether you get rid of guns or not, but you can improve the situation. You can just reduce the likelihood things will happen. No, nothing's perfect. We're comics, like you say. Obviously, we realize the gray in the world. There's no easy fixes to anything, but there's definitely easy fixes to improving situations.
Absolutely, but I would assume most like school shooters.
Yeah.
They're getting their dad's guns.
Right.
Dad's fine. Dad's a city councilman. Dad does this and that. And he goes to the firing range for
Right.
whatever reason. The fact that you play with guns, it's stupid and it's dangerous.
They're
And
very powerful.
well, it's scary to me.
Yeah, but you can also
I'm scared of balloons.
make sure.
Guns.
Balloons?
Yeah, I have an irrational fear
It's
of
interesting.
balloons.
I don't like the static reaction you get from them sometimes.
They're gonna pop.
Yeah, the
I don't
popping
like-
sounds
yeah.
unpleasant.
We have a gun range where I live in Bisbee, Arizona. It's people open carry
Right.
down there.
And
I
I
like
also don't
guns.
like when a balloon is near a dog on the ground, because then the dog pops it and then he freaks out and you've got an angry, upset animal that's acting erratically, so it really compounds it.
And you're the guy that's gonna have his finger on the button, but he can't have a dog around a balloon.
Well, I
but I
promise-
still put my vote behind Ben Gleib.
I love that, Doug Stanhope. Thank you very much. And let me just say, I promise everybody listening that if I am elected president, I will not ever have a dog or a balloon near the nuclear launch codes or buttons. That's a promise. Hard and fast.
You know what? You politicians promise everything until you get elected. The next thing you know, there's a terrier and a balloon animal, and there's the nuclear button.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a reality show.
Listen, whatever gets the ratings, that's that's all we care about these days. Get those eyeballs. We gotta.
Do you have a fantasy vision that you go to sleep at night until this dream dies horribly of you on the stage with other candidates?
Yeah.
Of like they say what and you say what? Is there a thing? Is there anything where you go, oh, and then I'd go, fuck you?
Yeah.
Do you have a drop the mic fantasy moment? Who's the candidate that you would most love to engage?
Oh God.
Democratically, then we'll get to.
Okay. The guy whose name we cannot say a third time.
No, yeah, I don't. I think he won't even make it. I think someone else, another Republican.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he gets impeached and we'd all be better off for it, and we'd be able to. Our long national nightmare will be over. But if not, it'll happen in 2020 in November. But yes, so I dream absolutely about going against Trump, and I believe I would be able to eviscerate him in a debate and make him feel small. And
We're going Democratic first.
Democratic first.
So it's
yes,
Biden,
yeah.
Sanders, and then
I have respect for most of these people, but doesn't mean I can't sting them. And what I would
Give
say,
me a
sting first of all is. Cory Booker, who I like and admire, I would say, look, you've been in the Senate for a long time now, and where are the sweeping changes that you are able to help pull off, that you have pulled off, that you say you want to do now? You've had your chance. I supported your run for the Senate, and I did. And you gave this speech at this event I was at, that you wanted to fix all the things when you got to the Senate, same things you're saying you want to fix now. And I raised my hand and I said, but you're saying all these amazing things, and we all know you're going to get to the Senate, and you're not going to be able to achieve those things because the system's broken and you're going to get stuck in the gummed up works of Congress. So why even say it? And he looked a little bit off kilter and he said, well, you know, our system is so broken that these days it is true you can be more effective at creating change as an artist or activist. And that's the path that I chose to stay on. So by Cory Booker's own rationale, I am more qualified to be president than he is.
all right,
There's that.
nice.
Thank you.
Go ahead, go to Trump if you're going to Trump.
Well, Trump, I just want to I want to corner him on the things that he has said that are just not only irrational, but double talk, where he said things on both sides. I want to corner him on the fact that he himself, about his wall, said that he wants to build a wall, and is going to build the tallest, best wall in the world that you can't get over, because he's riffing like a comedian in these rallies, and he goes, you'll be able to get over it unless you get like a ladder. Yeah, bro, ladders. Go over walls. Not to mention tunnels, go under walls.
That's not what I said.
What?
This is...
You're playing him now?
Yes, but that's all he does. I never said that.
Oh, you did say it, and the links are up right now, and my team has been ready to click post on my tweet with the exact link.
That's fake news.
Oh, it's not fake news.
There's no link. This isn't a debate where he just says, lies.
No, it's easy. The only
Have
fake
you ever
news...
dated someone like this where they just say the opposite? When you've had a relationship,
and you end those relationships
where the person says, "No, I never said that." No, you just said it right now.
I date a girl who made up stuff every second, and that relationship lasted a week.
And that's what he does.
Right.
So he just continued to do that.
No, it's easy. You just say the only fake news is that you're a good businessman. We just saw your taxes.
They've been doing that since he's been fucking.
But now the taxes came out the 10 years from 90 to 2000.
Wait, they released this?
Yeah, for 10 years.
I don't watch the news anymore.
He lost more money than any other person in the country during that time.
And no one's gonna give a fuck.
Yeah, they will, because you're gonna point out.
That's why I think your biggest flaw is going after him rather than running for the country. If you could run against whoever and never mention his name, don't even talk about him. Like I said,
I disagree, because that's what everybody else is doing, and it's actually what it's just doing is pushing the Democrats further to the left, and it's making them in a lot of ways more beatable in the general election, because Trump's gonna paint them as they're making the country socialist and they won't have developed any skills to dagger him. You have to be able to hit him with these verbal darts that he cannot escape. You need to be able to say, you are a joke of a person. Everybody laughs at you. You think you look great, you look stupid. You think you're a great president, you're the worst. You literally said you're going to elect the best people, put the best people around you, and 19 of them are in jail. They're in jail. Facts, people. 19 of his cabinet are in jail. Sorry, that's the definition of not the best people. You can say fake news all you want. You can say witch hunt all you want. But these are facts, bro. You stood up in front of us in Helsinki with Vladimir Putin next to you and said you trust him over us. You're treasonous. You're a traitor. And I'll talk over his bullshit and stop moving your hands trying to distract from the fact that you are a joke and a liar and a crybaby and a treasonous piece of garbage, and you'll be taken down. America can be put back on a place where we have people that we care about, the people that we believe in, people that we trust.
The more you say that, though, the more that empowers him. It's
don't think so.
feeding the troll situation, where he's the troll, and the more
I beat trolls.
But if you took
I beat hecklers. Have you ever been beaten by a heckler on stage? It doesn't happen to the great comics. You don't I'll always have a comeback for him because I'm not afraid of this ridiculous baby monster.
This is this is a conversation for when we're done, which we're pretty much
done.
Pretty much
when
done.
You call me late night and you give me your strategy suggestions, your policy suggestions.
I think you're right in a way, but
you think you should back down? How?
No
comic says they should back down from Trump.
No, you should ignore.
But
you
you're
know when you
debate
get a
and
heckler that you just the guy that keeps trying to get, and you just ignore him and plow through your set, and then he just shrinks down because you don't acknowledge him. I remember a Halloween show at Acme Comedy Club in Minneapolis where a guy, I don't know if it was a gorilla suit or something, sat right up front on Halloween wearing some very claustrophobic kind of knowing, I'm going to be the hit of the show. They're going to make fun of me all night. And I demanded every comic on the bill, do not reference this guy at all.
Sure.
Because he's sitting there deflated in his weird hair.
For sure. And that worked. It might have been Rand Paul under that suit. But that works. That's a way to go. But also, you always have your stuff that you're dying to say on stage, and I do too, but I never do it an hour without going off into the crowd for 20 minutes. I'm an improviser, and I'm a shit talker, and so one of my best skills is being able to eviscerate people and make them lose in that moment if I want to, if they come up against me. I'm really one of the best at that.
But I would think for a campaign, just dismiss him as ridiculous, like you're saying, but don't focus on him because that gives him power.
Look,
like,
I'm gonna
that guy's a clown. Anyway, what we need to do, and that's
why
this guy ruined the entire institution of what the presidency's about.
Right.
But we all know that now, and just act like it's a foregone conclusion that everyone knows he's a tool, rather than use him as a punching bag. Does it make sense?
I totally hear what you're saying. I don't plan to focus solely on him. That's why I'm one of only 4 candidates out of 22 that has a lot of policy platform positions on my website. I have a lot that I want to focus on and talk about. And in this podcast, for an example, we've only talked about him for maybe 7 minutes out of an hour and 10 minutes.
Well, let's close on this. What are you going to do for people
also.
like me, rich white males?
It's a good question. It's a good question. We're going to
don't care about politics.
Listen, we're going to do your podcasts, and we're going to drive to your hotel, even on day 1 of a campaign, to show you the respect that you've earned as a rich white male. But we're not going to tilt our laws in your favor. You're already doing good. We're not going to tilt our taxes in your favor. You're already doing great. We're not going to let you be at the top of a corporation and have hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, the average salary of your employees. You can be rich as hell, but not so stupidly rich that you step on people below. And so we're just going to make sure you're treated as well as everybody else, but not any better anymore.
What about the inequity in pay between men and women? Is there something you can do about this? This was a caller before you came here. She said, "I go. What question would you have? How will you fix the pay gap between men and women? Because I think it's 70 cents on the dollar. Women of equal schooling experience make for men. And I go, I think that's like a free market thing that I don't know.
I don't agree with that. I think that we should go through a period of time to right the ship where women get paid for every dollar that women get paid, men get paid 4 cents, just so we see what it's like. We're not gonna do that, but
have babies.
Right, or make them have babies, Arnold Schwarzenegger
assholes.
Jr. style through their penis holes. We're gonna go real like large gallstone style.
It's called sounding. I don't know if you've been on YouPorn, but
I've been on it. I definitely haven't seen
look
that one.
up sounding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely won't.
It's pee hole fucking.
Oh really?
Yep.
Okay, well, and the thing stays intact after.
Well, there's no.
Are tears coming
there's
down
no,
my face right now?
There's no YouPorn. Where are they now? I think that's a podcast.
Oh,
I'm gonna drop
pretty
the
darn
mic
good.
on that one.
That's pretty darn good. Wait, but there was a major question you were asking there. What was it?
I don't know. All right, I'll.
There was a
undrop the
major.
mic.
What the hell was it before the?
Women getting paid.
Oh, women.
Oh,
Yeah, you legislate that so it's equal. Come on, it's enough already. To account for all factors, and then legislate. Also, my dear friend has a company called Comparably, where you can see anonymously data of each company you're going to go work at, what they're paying the women and the men with equal backgrounds, of equal accomplishments and equal resumes, and then you can just point out people that are being discriminatory. Enough of that shit. Let's equal the playing field in ways that don't hurt business but help business. Women are good at shit too. It's a crazy concept. I'm sorry that the YouPorn thing was a very good ending, and I made you go pick the mic back up. But sorry about that. But I felt like
it was the first
important
time I
point.
thought it was funny on this podcast.
No, it was
so I
really
kinda
good.
Quit while I was ahead.
It was very solid. I'm gonna look it up just out of respect for you,
YouPorn,
and then
where are
clear
they
my
now?
browser history immediately.
Can we, Barbara Walters this, go a little long and have your first lady step in? We ask her questions about how she feels as a first lady.
She severely hates talking on things or in front of people, but
She's like a Ivanka.
she's like
Is that-
Ivanka.
wait, is that?
Or you
who?
mean
I don't know. The
Melania?
fucking- Yeah, Melania. I don't
Whose
fucking
one
know.
platform is not even correct in English. Be best. She's gonna
I
come up with a
like
better two-word
stuff.
phrase. I like stuff and money. All I like is money and stuff. But the beautiful Carmel, I'm sure in the car, will let me know if this was a good launch to the campaign or not. Because let me just say this: if you don't think, not to change topics, but do my political move here and change topics. If you don't think that I'm a candidate for president who will tell you the truth, what other candidate ever would go on Doug Stanhope's podcast as the first appearance?
I think I could have gotten Gary Johnson.
I'm talking about mainstream major party candidate.
Yeah, well, this election, I could probably get one. Rogan had someone on today,
He had another one today.
a Democratic, my
I wanna go do
manager
Rogan.
said, yeah, Rogan had, my manager, Rogan had a Democratic candidate on today, so
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
this is a good thing.
All right. I like
Because,
that.
you know, I'm way bigger than Rogan.
You're huger than Rogan, man. I love it when Elon Musk came on your podcast and was nude with you.
I'm almost as tall as Rogan if I had better posture.
I know, my posture kills me too. I'm 6'1", people think I'm 5'9".
Really?
It's a real problem. Look where I'm sitting now, I'm like crunched in 9 ways. I'm an old Jewish man at 40. I'm gonna be,
You're
Bernie Sanders will look like Fabio.
Jonah
by the time-
Hillish.
Well, that's not a great statement. But
Well, it depends
Which
on
Jonah Hill?
which Wolf of Wall Street.
was he skinny in that one? I can't remember.
I don't know, but he was a good actor.
He was.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Well,
Are you saying I'm a good actor?
I
don't know
think
if
we're
that's
getting
actually good.
sweet together.
Can we hold hands to end this, or?
I think we should have the first presidential man-on-man kiss.
I love it. Thank you.
Ben Gleib for president.
Doug Stanhope for his podcast.
Drop the mic.
Boom.
Courtyard. Marriott.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yes.